Parental advisory. There is adult language in this podcast episode. Watch at your own discretion. Hey there.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good.
Good.
Get this how I want it to be. There we go.
Yeah.
Bada bing.
Rolling?
Mm-hmm.
All, fantastic.
Yeah.
I will let you commence. I will
Yes.
allow you to. Yeah.
I learned some things yesterday. I wish that there was a way. I feel like I'm going to be looking mostly at the camera this time, as
Sure thing.
to here, because that's
Okay.
or maybe I can just get you full screen. I feel like that's a little bit better because that was frustrating to watch back. I'm constantly like this.
I did not notice. I caught just the one with you and Riley.
Yes. Cool.
Really enjoyed that.
Cool. Whole thing?
Yes. Thank you for the shout out. By the way, a couple times.
Yes.
But yeah, really good to watch you guys dialogue. It struck me as I was watching it. I was like, I can't think of the last time that I just watched these two go back and forth.
Wow.
You know, it would have been in the same room. It would have been when you were here. So obviously,
Dude, I am so excited to share my friends with my friends. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is.
Especially the close quarters, just me and Riley, how we talk, forgetting we're recording.
Yeah.
That's what I'm so excited to share.
Absolutely.
Specifically with you, specifically with Phil. I mean, I'm so excited to just go down the line every week, scheduling out. Like, I sent Riley's episode to probably 10 different people, just saying, hey, I need you next, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
As far as the introducing friends to friends concept, I always think of that concept when I'm going back in my head to like the senior year of high school when we took our band trip to Disney World, and I was one of 3 or 4 people in the group that had actually been to Disney enough to know the lay of the land, and so people would ask like, all right, where do we go next, and what's this ride all about? And I just remember saying like, this is like introducing 2 really respected friends to each other and watching them interact is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a out of body experience.
Yeah.
Like if you and my older brother met, I think I would be you and my older brother, because you and the rest of my family, I believe, have met at some point.
Yes.
Some family members have been to Michigan multiple times. Some only once. Like my younger brother, I feel like you met my younger brother.
The only person I've really had a dialogue with was your dad.
My dad.
I mean, I have a really fond memory of getting called out at that stand-up gig together.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. Just me and my dad, like, yeah, dude, he called out our group. He was like, you clearly don't like my jokes. I don't even remember everything that he said.
I'm trying to remember what it was that sparked. It's not that you were doing something, it's what you weren't doing.
Yes.
It was just that you were sitting there and like maybe one of you had your arms crossed, which is something that I just do a lot. I cross my arms all the time. It doesn't have to mean that I'm angry about something or I'm upset. No. I just do it because it's something to do with my arms.
I've heard that crossing your arms is always some sort of a self-defense or a self-hug, self-protect.
That's the therapist's analysis of it.
Okay. Sometimes it's just done though.
Right. Which is the case this particular evening. There was no hostility that we were trying to throw at this guy.
Yeah.
But he did make a point to kind of sidetrack to us, and I just remember feeling afterwards like, Man, good thing this is when Colin's dad chose to visit. Like, this is the
Yeah.
night that like, sorry about that.
My dad is the type of person to not really mention it unless I do. I was the first
Uh-huh.
one to bring it up because I was like, man, how am I going to bring up that moment?
Yeah.
That was really something. And I think that my dad and I think that we can have somewhat of a mean mug or a resting bitch face when we're just listening. I've noticed that about myself. If I'm watching myself back on footage, not acting, I'm just myself. I kind of
Mm,
have a little bit of a scowl, and that might have been something you read into.
mm.
Especially describing himself as a manic depressive. I remember a lot from his thing that night
Yep.
because uh, I was like, as he was opening up, I was relating to him,
I
and
was listening to it,
I was
and
listening.
we
Yeah.
were all listening to it and engaged. And it's just such an interesting thing to think about, because I remember when I talked to him after the show, um, and I'm being me. It's like I say to myself, I'm gonna tell him off for that. Like, I'm gonna ask why you did that and blah blah blah. And of course I get up to him and I'm like, listen, man, you nice set. Really
Right?
liked your set,
Yeah.
and did want to just mention that part when you kind of singled us out as a group. And he said something to the extent of like, I do that at a lot of gigs. It wasn't personal. I do that at a lot of gigs where I just single out a couple people. And I couldn't decide how I felt about that, because
Mm,
on one hand it kind of isolates your audience.
yeah.
Even if it's just a couple people, you've just isolated a couple people in your audiences. I mean, it's the same thing with the heckle comedians that just their their set is literally just attacking people in the audience.
Yeah.
um
I think in that moment it would have been hard for him to differentiate if you were to give him feedback on that in the moment. It would be hard for him to differentiate whether or not you are saying it as a defense, like maybe don't do that next time,
right,
or with the intent of helping his career to like really don't do that next time, with
right,
the isolation of your audience, with backtracking. Like, we don't know you from Adam, and
yeah,
you're supposed to kind of catch us, and then if you do something 5 minutes in that backtracks, um,
yeah.
you're not going very far. So
Because I love it when comedians open up about that kind of stuff. So I was looking forward to it. Wouldn't it be great if we spent the whole hour just talking about how hurt our feelings are
yeah,
by this guy? It's just
yeah.
talking.
Well,
I
I
mean, it's
wonder, because when I was doing comedy, I never saw him, never heard his name. When I
uh,
was doing Rocky's Bar and Grill,
yeah.
I don't think he was ever around, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
What's I listening to you and Riley talk about Rockies.
Hmm.
I wanted to ask you, what's the time that you were doing that show? Do you have one particular memory that really sticks out of a particular comedian or something that you said? A
Um,
particular show
hmm,
that sticks out for a good reason, for a bad reason?
yeah,
What's your kind of biggest takeaway
I'm
from
very
doing that?
sad with how it ended,
Right.
because the last night, my last comedian going up there tonight, no, my second to last comedian going up there tonight, called an audience member a fucking bitch.
Oh, I was there for that one.
You were there.
Okay.
You were sitting at the
Yep.
table. When
Yep.
he did that, um,
Ah.
and I take some of the blame because I went up afterwards and she had continued. She had like started shouting from the bar. Her friends were in on it. I also
Yep.
referred to her as a fucking bitch. not to
Yeah.
call, that wasn't my intent. I wasn't calling her that. I was just referring to her as that thing of the night.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to save my comedian's ass too. I don't know. I was
Kind of just like well, that happened, sort of,
and that was the last night. That was it. I think that I was just in that moment 5-6 days ago. I was thinking about Jay, the guy who I was like really working with for 5 months.
Yeah.
And then after that night, we never spoke again.
Weird circumstances, wasn't it? Like really bizarre.
Yes. I almost think that woman, that chick, might have been attached to his social something.
Interesting.
And he might have been really offended and really embarrassed that happened. I think that instance was probably extremely. He couldn't look at me the rest of that night. I remember saying goodbye to him, and he didn't look at me. And I was going, oh, and then like he disappeared. He went off the grid for like the owner of the bar couldn't find him. He was looking in jails and hospitals, and I don't know. That partnership completely went out the door, and I think it was because they stopped paying me like 4 or 5 weeks before that ended.
Yeah.
So I was already done. I was like, why am I still doing this? Yeah.
I mean, you do have to find something to latch onto for those 4 weeks or something. I figure, you would probably take it from a material aspect, just like I've got 4 weeks, I'm not getting paid. But were you writing much at that time, or did you already kind of have your?
I was simultaneously working at the airport, sun up to sundown, 50 to 70 hours a week. And I was over at the Wynn on Saturday nights, and then Sundays I would do, so I was seven days a week for about 3.5 months.
Yeah.
Making a lot of money, probably 1,500, 15,000, sorry, 15,000 in like a span of 3.5 weeks. But I have nothing to show for now.
Very good. Oh, good. Yeah.
So those 4 weeks I was writing, but I was not rehearsing. So my stand-up that I would perform, I thought was god awful, and kind of I would resort to all right, well, I'm just going to do my freshman 15 joke, or I'm going to do anything that I just know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And I think that became an issue too, where I was just like doing the same material. Because I probably, 15, 16 weeks in a row, and the last 4 were probably my worst. I was kind of hurt that Kiowa stopped going and stopped filming. Not that I ever should have, like, I can't force him to go, obviously. I can't even force him to want to watch, which is totally fine. But it is a bummer that I really don't have much to show for that, because there were a lot of things that happened that if I had had a cameraman, especially with a Red, I would have some great footage to put on my website right now, to put on my TikTok. I suffered an injury because of a stunt that I pulled.
Pratfall?
Yes, where I sat on top of a stool, a regular bar stool, and I did some joke and just went like that, and totally fell off it, fell onto my right here, and I heard this shoulder, and I got up, and my whole arm is like buzzing and numb, and I just continued to, because the joke is where I get back up and keep telling the joke like nothing ever happened. That's
right.
Like where the punchline is. And so I tried it out. It was amazing, but I didn't have the camera rolling, and that's like my best times doing stand-up. I don't have on footage, and I'm so angry about that.
That would have been a perfect addition to the pratfall in Les's class. Would have fit so perfectly. And especially given the fact that there was a real injury behind it, because sometimes you just want to see, like, how bad did that look on camera?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
like, but yeah,
So the last time, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, please, please.
The last time that I did stand up at all, I, um, I'm sitting there in September. This was in September, and yeah, unfortunately, it's the last time I performed, but it went extremely well.
Yeah.
Um, a few of my friends here in Salem, Oregon, had not seen me perform ever. They just heard about me doing it, and these are friends that I've had since 2010. Um, grew up just kind of being rascals here for a little bit, go in between Brazil and stuff. So, last time I performed, uh, I knew that I was next, so I thought, okay, well, I think it'd be funny if I do some sort of like a acrobatic somersault onto the stage.
Yeah.
That turns into me flailing and flopping like a turtle that can't roll over on its shell.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And as I hop, I do this, and I hear the same in my shoulder.
Oh man, must be a really specific nerve that just like that's its designated noise.
Yeah.
Um,
So tired of 330 pounds landing on that side.
yeah.
So I think I'm going to be paying uh, for my shoulder injuries
Okay.
a little bit later on in life. But
Well, I feel like Dick Van Dyke had some issue. Was it Dick Van Dyke that used to do the entrance to his show? I don't think he was safe about it.
mm-hmm.
You know, even with the majority of those things that you watch, there's some kind of training behind it. Like at least one person has looked at it and said, like, yeah, if you keep that up, that's gonna be a problem in the future. Um, I always think of Gene Wilder's somersault and Willy Wonka, and can't remember the number of hours that went into the perfecting of that, but
Because
you
you
know, it's
you did that.
I did a version of it.
You did in high school.
I did the without any supervision version of that.
Yes.
And just prayed every night that I wouldn't roll into the orchestra pit.
Yeah. How did it go every time you performed it? Was there ever a time where it was like?
There wasn't a time where it wasn't a time where I really screwed up. There was. I can remember being backstage one of the nights and pulling over Mrs. Salt, I think, or was it Mr. Salt, Mrs. All the Willy Wonka versions, they have different genders for the parents, and I can't keep them straight.
Sure.
Okay. But I pulled over somebody backstage, and I was like, I feel like I rolled a little to the left. What did it look like from your angle? And they're like, well, I've seen you do it a few times, so I wasn't really watching. And I can remember being angry that, like, how dare you weren't watching my performance.
Yeah.
And then having to confront that after the show and be like, you're not, the lead in a show is not being watched every second by the rest of the cast. Whether you're the lead, whether you're whoever, ideally you have a really close friend or a parent in the audience who's spending the whole show watching you. And so then you can go out, you almost kind of hope that your worst performance happens that night when your confidant is in the audience, so that afterwards you can say to them, how bad did that look? And ideally they say, like, not bad. If they really love you, they say the truth. And ideally, the truth is that it wasn't that bad. So you get to be like, all right, so my worst thing of that was not as bad as maybe
That's
I
bad.
think that. Really twisted logic, but
Oh, yeah, it's tricking your mind. That's like a good little strategy to avoid self deprecative thoughts or
self-loathing, yeah,
yeah.
straight up
Yeah.
self-loathing. I still kick myself for not making it to your play here.
Oh,
I still,
oh, it was. I still think it was too much of me to ask even whoever showed up to sit through that whole play. That was 2.5 hours of not me. You know, it was.
it's a lot of not you.
Yeah, it was like a fourth of the play I was actually in.
Yeah,
That's the thing is there's a lot of people I don't ask to come to even stand up or plays because of the rest of what they would have to sit through.
mm,
I don't think they would enjoy as an audience member.
interesting.
Um, I don't think my parents would enjoy sitting in Rocky's Bar and Grill or in some related something, watching comic after comic after comic just to see 5 minutes of me. Like,
Yeah,
they can see me on a DVD once I've perfected this or something.
yeah,
Don't see me live when I record for the DVD or whatever.
right.
DVDs won't even be a thing at that point. So
I've,
I want to talk about plays because
yeah,
high school was good to the both of us as far
yeah.
as being in plays. I know you were Willy Wonka. I'm not sure what else you played, but was it mostly the main person?
Uh, Wonka was definitely like the moment in high school where you think you're just the hottest shit. Where
Yeah.
you at that time, this is I real quick. I do want to ask if there is something I should be doing on my side of the camera here. Should I be recording my does records both our
Mm-hmm.
is that how it works? Okay.
I think it
All
records
right.
from my audio, and I need a microphone because my audio. You probably noticed in Riley's episode that it cuts out a lot for me.
Didn't notice a ton. I think part of it is just that you're getting adjusted in this culture right now to not hearing every word of somebody that you're watching on a screen.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
with Zoom as a medium, but
And just self-critique too. Every little tiny thing that I find wrong, I'm gonna want to tweak
sure.
and stuff. Even with Cam, I'm supposed to call Cam right after this. I kind of want to keep it fair and keep it all to an hour.
Yeah.
Um, if I sense that I don't have the energy to talk to him, I'm going to tell him this beforehand that I will cut it off and try again later.
Okay.
Because I want an hour each of energetic, active listening Collin.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want to find a direct set behind me to kind of like put and keep this
You
consistent.
mentioned that the green screen you were hoping to
Yes,
do
something.
something.
Yeah, related to that, or even when things open back up. Like, how am I going to continue my podcast? Am I going to make it in person? Am I going to continue to just do it over video?
Yeah.
Because I want to expand this and go and like talk to my family and do like F is for family, or
Yeah.
or talk to my Brazilian friends and go Portuguese and subtitle it in English.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I would love to.
I did wonder if the title had any sort of connection to the Bill Burr's show F is for Family, I
Uh,
think.
no, it was
F
actually
is
the SpongeBob song.
F is for Friends. Yep,
You
that's right. Okay. Yep.
you,
Yep.
you and me.
Yes. Oh
Yeah,
my word. Wow. This is a
yeah,
throwback.
yeah.
Uh sorry I derailed what you were heading at, but I
No,
did
Plays, my only experience, okay, so I grew up doing church plays, and the director of those would always reserve at least a speaking role. Doesn't have to be main. I was a couple times, but at least a speaking role and a musical solo. She wanted me to sing every time. And then touring before Brazil for those 6 years, on going to like hundreds of churches, literally hundreds of churches in a van. We would, my dad would always put my little brother and I on the stage, and we would always sing something, just like before my dad does his PowerPoint presentation. So that was always just kind of an interesting performing art background. And then I did one actual high school play here in Salem on furlough from Brazil. And that's where I met Tyler and Justin and a lot of my friends here who I also want to do podcasts with over video for you guys to see. I really want to share Salem with you guys. I believe you've met Tyler and Justin. I just found a video that you, me, and Tyler did with Ramirez and Jonathan Garlinghouse.
On your couch?
On my couch.
In your apartment, trying to figure out if we were going to do the thing. Was that the one, or which?
Made a couple different videos. Yeah.
So, it was a one take, wasn't it? Was it a?
Yes.
Was the one take one?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
That's right. I just
were they in the play with you, or were they?
They were.
What was the play?
Oklahoma.
Oh shoot! Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I know that one. Yeah. Okay.
I was Ali Hakim.
All right.
Ali Hakim. Yeah, I just like in auditions, I was so goofy, and the director called me and offered me the part of Ali Hakim, and she was like joyful because she knew me prior, but she was like, everybody got to see how funny you were, and I'm so happy about that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and during the play, I remember her having to tell me, stop improvising. Like, you're doing too much. You're going off. You've reached your quota for improv. No further. Because I would burst out into song. Like, that's not.
It was good improv.
It was good.
It wasn't like the Michael Scott where you pull a gun on everybody in every scene.
No. It was good, and it would make my friends crack.
There you go. Yeah.
It was the best part to me.
Yeah.
And we'd go get Dutch Bros together on breaks and stuff. I want them to start sponsoring this, by the way. So I'm gonna try and get that. I made a Dutch Bros love video probably a month ago, and it got pretty high on TikTok. And I guess
Didn't they reach out to you?
No, that was Boom Boom. Actually, Boom Boom. Thank you, Boom Boom.
Oh yeah.
They thank you for reminding me.
Anytime.
Boom Boom reached out to me and sent me free stuff for advertising, just free advertisement, because they probably got some sales. And then Dutch Bros is all over the Northwest. I think it's even in like Arizona, and that's probably the furthest over it goes. But this video that I made on TikTok is circulating in group chats in Dutch Bros. So I'm hoping for somebody in headquarters to see, and
just takes one person.
Just takes one person, dude.
One person.
Dude, I don't know if so fuck the play stuff. No, we'll go back to it. We'll go back.
That's all right.
On Twitter, I have professionalized my Twitter. I'm so excited about this.
All right.
Collin Everett. That's what it is. Handle is calling your mom. But I have followed every comedian in the U.S., or at least I have followed like almost 200. I think there's 400 working comics in the U.S. right now.
That feels like a low. I don't know why that feels like
It does.
A low number.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry, you're saying.
Yeah. So I followed them, whether I like them or not.
Yeah.
Just for the chance at some sort of an exposure. And I have gotten some good responses. I've caught some fish as certain accounts have followed me without me following them first, but I immediately follow back, and they've
Yeah.
stayed following me up to this point so far.
Nice.
One is Dave Weasel, Dave Weasel, and then JJ Whitehead, and then some pro wrestler chick. But hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter, which is hard. And Dave Weasel was even like in a dialogue on Twitter with Bert Kreischer recently.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, it's well-connected comics who have followed me.
Yeah.
Because I'm putting my best content out there. The stuff that's blown up on TikTok, I'm putting on Twitter. And literally, one retweet from Bill Burr or Tom Segura
Yes,
is
man.
like so close to me. My mouth is just watering at the chance of being able to do this. But so I want to check
the access to acknowledgement from people is crazy.
Yes.
To think about.
Yeah.
You know, people used to murder celebrities for not knowing that they existed.
True. Whoa. Yeah.
And now all it takes is you say the right thing at the right time. You know, their eyes happen to be in the right place, and suddenly Bill Burr just acknowledged that I exist, and I can now tell people that I'm a part of Bill Burr's life because that one time, you know.
Yeah. David Spade has liked a tweet of mine. TJ Miller just liked a tweet of mine.
Yeah.
Mark Normand, I don't know if you know him.
I do not.
Okay, Mark Normand he's circulating on a lot of podcasts right now. I think he even has his own funny as hell comedian. He's a great comic. Yeah, I think you would enjoy. Not even his set. I'm not even talking about it. Like, I really haven't watched much of his comedy. I've watched just him on podcasts, and I really think I
just
really
him
like
talking.
Yeah. But he will like every comment on his tweets. Everyone he'll go through. So when mine is liked by him, I'm like, I don't
Not as special.
But
I can remember. I can remember Facebook and when becoming the first person to comment on Krispy Kreme status suddenly became the entitlement to righteousness and whatever. Sorry, you were going to say.
So going back to plays in Hopping Off, Oklahoma. Other than Willy Wonka, what were you a part of in high school?
In senior year, we did Beauty and the Beast for our spring musical. So I was the candle in that one.
Candle.
So I had the big setups on your arms where there's a button inside, so you choose when to turn on this candle, when to turn on this candle.
Oh, cool!
It became kind of a cool part of your character that you can decide when to do what, or if you decided that.
Great comedy. You can do.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
You know, somebody says something just outright stupid, the lights go out. You just killed the moment. You know, you get an idea and you get the placement right behind. It was definitely the most. What's funny is that it's high school theater, so in the moment, it's everything. And I still look back and I feel really, really fondly about it.
Yeah.
But at the time, it is like a gate to success. You know, like if you get a good comment from a teacher on a show, you're like, maybe I am going to do this for a living. I am going to pursue this.
Yes.
You know, for a career, if it's the right teacher that says it. But just yeah. So the way you talk about it, like most challenging part of high school theater, by far most taxing
Yeah.
role that I played in high school. But physically, like you got to hold those all the time, and I would have complained if it weren't for Mrs. Pot having to do that. Mrs. Pot was it Potts. Mrs. Pot, completely different show. You don't want to look that one up.
Yeah.
Mrs. Potts, and then Chip sitting in the cart with she was just like rotating around on a stool, and so it's just her head, for the whole show, and she's in a box, and it's
Wow.
so I could have complained, but I didn't.
How mobile is she? Do people have to move?
Well, she's completely reliant on being moved from stage left to stage right and back and forth. So
seems like a decent budget for high school plays.
For high school, yeah. If you space it out right, that's the trick. If you do Joseph one year, you got to do the off-brand Sleeping Beauty the next year. You know what I mean? Like you got to you spend 2 or 3 years building up the ability in your budget to pull off the big thing. And then you're like, we're gonna have to cut it back for a couple of years afterwards, and then we'll do another thing. So
what's Joseph? I don't think I'm familiar.
Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Okay, so it's a specific, just like Oklahoma, you could say Joseph, and somebody knows what that is.
Yeah. I'm sitting here trying to determine if you would like or hate Joseph. Like
I know the movie. I don't know.
Oh sure, yeah. I used to watch the Donny Osmond DVD all the time.
Sure.
But big flashy, got a big Egypt set, and it's a whole thing. So the timing worked out for, like, it just happened to be graduating the year that they were able to do that show. So
a lot of topless dudes.
Cool. Lots of topless dudes. And in Joseph too. Beauty and the Beast, lots of topless dudes. That's a Craig Ferguson. That is a really his what was his bit he used to do about one of them, he'd name 2 celebrities. One of them, obviously a blah 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 blah, say really specific traits of the one celebrity, and then say that celebrity. And the other one's this celebrity. Just switch it around. If it's Paul McCartney and Medusa, it would be 2 very different things. One of them a hideous creature from the depths of the underworld. People freeze and turn into stone when they look at them.
Yeah.
And the other is Medusa. But he's got the whole Scottish.
Right.
Whole Scottish thing.
Oh, that's one thing I wanted to ask you. Did you do the accent for the camera?
French. That was a nightmare.
Was it?
That was.
Was it
you just
like that?
It only the really stereotype words were written for you that way. If a word had the Z in it, then they're like, "Oh, we gotta write it with the Z." So you never see Lumiere say THE. Z. So it's like, well, thanks for spelling that one out for me.
Yeah.
But anything that they don't give you, I just keep going back between French and Spanish and French and Spanish. I don't know why. I should be able to make that distinction. Even now, if I try to do a French, I still will. If it's too long, if I try to do it for too long, I'm going to slip back into completely other. It could be fucking Slovakian all of a sudden. It just doesn't, like, why can't you maintain the French? So that's when I say it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare for me because I just couldn't. I got by, I think, by looking at the animated movie enough to just be like, all right, just impersonate that. Impersonate that. And there are enough lines in common that you can kind of just cheat your way through it.
I wish that I had more of an inclination for accents, because I'm really good at impersonating what I hear. Like, I can specifically, like, if I hear some sort of Mandarin in a film, the sounds that they say I can kind of get. That's I think why I was able to pick up Portuguese so well. But I don't sit here and like practice my Australian. Australian is not one that I can just do. I think I'm very unfamiliar with Australians. I really haven't met any of them. I don't know much about Australia.
You know the rise up lights trick. You know that
yes, okay.
If you want to get yourself into the mind of, like, what gets what accent.
Yeah.
Rise up lights being razor blades for an Australian person. Australian person saying razor blades. Rise up lights.
Oh my gosh.
Rise up lights.
Rise up lights. That's amazing.
It's the most childish thing, but I get so much joy out of saying rise up lights.
I know that actors do have those words or phrases to hop into an accent before taking stuff. I like that. I can respect that. I would probably have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, in honor of keeping it an hour,
yes,
I believe that we're at our 15 minutes left mark.
Yes.
I'm trying to. You and our talks are usually 3 hours.
Yeah.
It just kind of naturally happens where it might be just similar brain.
Glad it's natural for you, because
yeah, similar brain movement, or just like I can only power at that speed for so long.
Yeah.
Well, any more than 3 hours is doable, but it's like you have to shut down afterwards.
Yeah.
So I guess I can just leave this. Stop it. I guess I'm trying to. So far, I don't think there's anything that I want to edit out, and I can even edit out this part where I'm trying to not leave any dead air or anything. But
sure.
I don't know what topic to. I didn't write anything down with you or Riley.
I have a list here of people I'd like to just shit talk for a few minutes.
Perfect.
If we can go ahead and dive into that, because it's all people that we know, and most of them are people that we're close friends with. And I just want to now let them know how I feel about them. Actually, this is the way.
I'm glad that I can be the provider of that avenue and method of communication for you.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, I'm not getting it anywhere else. So, it is tough having. Usually those conversations go, trying to fit into an hour. So looking at the clock and being conscious of, like, all right, so 14 minutes. What can we? What can we flesh out in 14 minutes? What? And it's interesting you make that comment about kind of the 3 hour span, because I would relate to that a lot, and that over 3 hours from any given time,
Mm.
I can last 3 hours from there in a healthy mindset. But really close, like really not long after the 3 hour mark,
Mm.
something starts to kick it. Like you suddenly just find yourself questioning everything, and so three hours are a healthy
Mm.
healthy window. But I can't think of it's just because it, I think just mathematically, dividing up a day to get, like, there's 24 hours in a day. um 4 or 5 times during that day I'm going to have an existential crisis of some nature, so mathematically it has to be somewhere within this window of time. Does this make any
Yeah.
sense? Does it?
Yep.
um
There's certain people I've
those
learned to kind of be. Certain people I'm unwilling to give more than an hour of my time to.
Oh, sure.
And when they start to take it and not really respect that I'm like wanting to be done,
Yeah.
um, I get this feeling, and it's the same feeling that I would probably feel after the 3 hour mark, kind of like you.
Hmm.
It's not necessarily mental; it's a body feeling that it's almost a panic of I don't know how when this is going to end.
Hmm.
Every attempt at my making conversation becomes leading towards the end, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a body experience, and I really don't like the feeling. I don't enjoy the feeling. That's why, like, that immediate, whether it's a hang up or it's a um, drive away, because it's been like in person for 3 hours, whatever. It's always just such a sigh of relief to be quiet, be silent.
Yeah.
Um, I think I have a lot of nasal stuff going on right now. I need my tonsils and adenoids taken out. So
Hmm.
I notice in our 3 hour talks, at the end of them, I'm just so congested and like I can hardly breathe through my nose just because my face has been, so much has been happening here for
Yeah.
however long. So um, I was just realizing with Riley yesterday, we got into religion in the last 10 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. I
And
was interested by that. I
yeah,
wasn't sure. I was like, be an interesting kind of running theme to go to with every
right.
single conversation, in the last 15 minutes at exactly the 45-minute mark.
Yeah,
In every conversation, you're like, so religion, I want to go ahead and tackle that.
exactly.
Want to know where you fall there. Um, but that,
Uh,
well, I mean, it's a continuing dialogue, if it cuts out at the hour mark, but
yes,
ideally you can pick it right back up the next time that you chat.
absolutely. Part two.
Um,
I'm
uh,
realizing that that's going to need to happen, but asking people to sit at their computers for more than an hour is already too much. But
yeah,
and also just for like uploading purposes and in dealing with the footage and stuff. If it's more than an hour, it takes forever to upload.
yeah.
Um, so um, yeah, I definitely appreciate you willing to be my secondary guest, and
Oh yeah,
um, it's obviously not in any particular order that I'm interviewing people, but um,
absolutely.
Phil Castaneda, I think I'm going to be interviewing Saturday. I was going to try to do it yesterday, but um, my wish to call him yesterday was not communicated to him, and he was busy. So But he is going to be watching these and taking notes and stuff. He's really excited to be watching these, and I'm kind of excited for him to get to meet you, because I feel like watching some of the Salem Roundtable, you've had the chance to semi-meet him. So
yeah.
Yes.
That's so interesting. You were just talking about you were getting into social cues a little bit about when you find yourself going too long in a conversation with somebody, and then you're trying to get out.
Yes.
Trying to offer those lines that will hopefully clue them in, like this person wants to walk away now. I love watching. I don't like being in the situation.
No.
But I love watching somebody try to end a conversation and the other person does not. It just totally,
yeah.
That is one of my favorite things to watch.
Yeah.
As they start to physically, like literally in their physical behaviors, they're putting together, they're not listening to anything that I'm saying.
Yeah, gathering.
What do I have to do?
You know,
what more do I have to do?
Yeah.
And do I have to literally look over their shoulder and is that
hey.
But
yeah.
So to that I was just imagining in my head you saying like, "Hey, I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you doing this," and then me taking no cues whatsoever,
and
trying to start opening up the largest can of worms. But I really do. I want to do this as much as you'll have me on, and I'm really excited to watch more episodes and
awesome. Thank you, man.
Watch people.
Are you working again? Are you in quarantine?
Quarantine, yes. There is a rumor going around that we could be open next week, May the 15th, which is just I'm just conscious and somewhat in denial of the reality that there's going to be a new normal. The first time that somebody used the phrase new normal, I got like a nauseous kind of like, don't say that. Don't say there's going to be a new normal.
Yeah.
But I'm conscious of the fact that at this point there's going to be, and so it's on my mind. It's like, working at an escape room, people are going to be hesitant to come in and touch stuff, and potentially, be with strangers. But I trust that, we'll be taking precautions. And we were taking precautions before we closed.
Gloves and all that.
Yeah. Which, it does, doesn't necessarily detract from the experience, but it's just new to, unless you're literally playing in the hospital themed room. It's it's just, everything's taking a hit. How are you finding? How are you finding your own schedule at the moment?
I was loving unemployment.
Yeah.
Actually, this is what I wanted to get in. Since there's a little bit I'll cut out, so we can go a little bit over 8. I can tell Cam to fuck off. And,
sure.
So, man, Recently with my job, dude. I almost lost it the other day, 2 days ago. Because I've been written up probably 4 times with a final warning. And a new manager who has been a manager before, he pulled me aside 2 days ago. Collin, can I talk to you? Saying it very boss-like. I knew, oh, wow, something's about to happen. Once again, I didn't freaking record it. Dang it. I keep forgetting. Just like with Vanguard.
Yeah.
In fact, the other day, an order came in and it said Dawn, and I was like, motherfucker. I had to go check. Wasn't him. So, sits me down and he goes, hey, so I want you to know that I've gone to Kayla, Mel, about, and HR about this. And I'm going, what? And he was like, the other day I found raw chicken. Sorry, I found raw burgers sitting on top of raw chicken. And I was like, okay. And he goes, and then you put the Euro meat next to the raw meat. We also found raw chicken sitting on top of tots, which apparently are all big no-nos. But this guy couldn't. He might watch this, actually. He couldn't tell me himself. He couldn't just say, hey, Collin, these 3, don't do that.
Yeah.
And I should have known. I have my food handler's card. But one of them, wasn't me, and I explained that, but they're still blaming me for not catching it, like you should have known.
Okay.
I was like, I didn't even know. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna leave some of the details out, but
yeah,
I could tell he's a pretty thin dude. I could tell he was shaken like Austin Morse type of because he was nervous, like Dawn from Vanguard, shaking. And I love when that happens because I'm probably just as nervous, but I don't shake, dude.
Yeah.
So I sit there like this and I collect my thoughts. I really have to, because he dropped the line at one point, I am your boss. And I had to like swallow it back down. I almost was a smartass and said, well, now I quit, so no, you're not.
Just to have that line. Just to be able to deliver that.
Yeah.
That line.
But I was like, Yeah, I was really holding back.
Yeah.
And he later told me that he could tell that I was really holding back, but he thought that I took all of this discipline well. And the whole rest of the day, I was like in talks with Phil for advice, with my mom, with my doctor. I was reading the rules of if I quit or if I get fired.
Yeah.
Can I get back on unemployment, which is what I want? Like, I was thinking, as this conversation is happening, is this actually what I want? Because that would be amazing. I would almost ask them to fire me, or I would just quit and go back to unemployment, because that is what I want. I'm sour about having to go back to work and be working 40, 50 hours a week and be making way less.
Yeah.
So
when you mentioned him saying, I've gone to HR about this. HR has such a specific connotation in my mind that his actual beef, no pun intended,
Yeah.
was surprising.
Mhm.
Um, it's just interesting that I hear HR and I go to interpersonal.
Sure.
And I was ready for another, a story about another coworker who was just giving you grief for some stupid something or other.
Here's a story for earlier that day.
Okay.
These are instincts that I had to hold back in this conversation. I'm walking out of Roth's, which is a grocery store here.
Yeah.
Guy is in a big old child molesting van. I start
Good.
walking across the crosswalk, and I know that he's not going to wait for me because I hear him. I see that his wheels are pointed left, so I know he's not going to wait.
Mhm.
I hear his engine, as he starts to go
Mhm.
by. I keep walking across the crosswalk because it's my right,
Yeah.
and we meet eyes, and he comes close to me. He's right here with his van, and
Mhm.
he stops to stop me from walking.
Oh my God.
That's the only reason why else we'd be stopping, because we did meet
Yeah.
eyes, and he could tell I was challenging him. So I went boop and punched his van door, and I
Oh.
walked around it, and I walk around, and he opens his door, his cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He looks like he hasn't showered in weeks. He's like, "Hey, man, you can't just go around doing that to people." I go, "You're illegal. I'm walking right here, and my
Yeah.
car is right here. I had just gotten to it."
You're out of line.
And he just repeats himself. You can't go around doing that, man. And I go, do you want to take this up a notch, or do you want to get back in your van? And I just got back in my car, and he pulled around me. I thought that he was going to stop right behind me, because then I can't get out. I thought that's what he was going to do with his strategy, because I would
Yeah.
have to, but he didn't. He just kept going, and then I just took off.
I
But go ahead.
which I do want to, for the record, your setup and his demeanor were not what I was expecting. His
No,
demeanor was not what I was expecting
I
from
was
your
expecting
description.
him to fully get out of his car and come confront me. That's
Yeah.
what I was expecting. And then for him to do that, yeah, I had to gather my thoughts a little bit and be like, and just meet him with words, I guess.
Because that's it. What it signals to me is that it's someone that you could just punch their door again. That's honestly,
Yeah.
he says, "Hey man, you can't just go around doing that," and that's my instinct in my head is
Yeah.
just punch the other door. No words necessary.
Yeah, and there
Um,
were some bystanders going, "Oh, that," with with a little bit of a grin,
I
like they really couldn't fathom what they had just seen. And this is
uh,
outside of my sister's work too. Yeah,
I would have loved to have been there for that. I would have loved
dude.
to watch that.
Yeah.
I told you last time that we talked. I really look forward to any story, especially if an automobile is related. I know it's something good. Like I just yeah.
Yeah, as it happened, or later that day at work, I was like, "That's when I should tell David." But
Hmm.
so that's what I was holding back in that conversation.
Yeah.
What made me do that? Um, I was like really fighting as I was talking to him, but
The same energy that
yeah,
provoked that reaction.
yeah,
Yeah, just trying to keep it at bay for
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the spirit of not
That's
keeping Cameron waiting, I think
yes.
I have to end this. But
Yes. Well, it's been a pleasure as always.
absolutely, dude.
And
Yeah, I love talking to you and catching up. I really do.
yes, absolutely. So when are we gonna do the recorded version?
Yes. Why don't we start right now? No, all I have to do is stop recording, and then it just like
Uh,
converts, and it gives me um, audio only, and then it gives me the video so I could literally just post this on Stitcher or something
That's awesome.
for, anyways.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, thank you for providing a thing for people to do and watch, and another way to connect, which is critical right now. So
Yeah.
doing
Seriously, dude.
a good thing.
I love you. Please stay safe.
Love you too, man.
And
You as well.
stay creative. I hope that I really wanted to go into that more with what you're doing now to be creative. But
Talk next time.
let's please, every Tuesday, Wednesday I have off. I'm trying
Sweet.
to schedule a couple a day that I have off. Maybe I'll even do some, if it works, for a schedule on days that I work. But
yes,
let's please do this again.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Excellent. Sounds wonderful. Well, and tell Cameron hello, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sweet. I'll be trying to post this tonight, so, or at least into the morning. So it'll be up tomorrow.
Sooner I can watch myself, the better. So
yeah.
Good,
All right,
man.
dude.
Take care, man.
Peace, bro.
Love you, bro.
Bye.